The Bleeding Land by Giles Kristian. Read by Anthony May. Prologue. Sunday, 23rd of October, 1642, Edge Hill. If he closed his eyes, Munn could almost convince himself that the great booms were peals of thunder rending the grey October sky. But for the screams. Men did not scream and shriek and wail at thunder, though they did when 12-pound iron balls ripped off their limbs, smearing the air crimson and leaving splintered bone and mangled flesh in their wake. They screamed then, and it was a sound from purgatory itself, tormented, agonized, and hopeless. Horses whinnied, stamped, and snorted, steam rising from their flanks to thicken the fug of men's breath and stinking fear that hung above them all like a veil through which God could not see. Which was just as well, Munn thought, for murder was about to be done. "There, Hector. Good boy. Steady boy," he soothed, pushing against his stirrups to pat the stallion's neck, where the thick veins throbbed beneath the skin. Hector snorted gruffly in reply, and Munn glanced into the throng of restless riders around him, judging his fear against theirs, for they were in the first line of the royal horse, and it was nearly time. Surely. For the best part of an hour, the cannon had roared their defiance. The fury of each barrage like a bully's bluster, hiding the fear and revulsion that really squirmed in men's guts. For they must be as terrified as I am, Munn thought, a shiver crawling up his spine at the sight of thousands of armed men in all their rebellious glory, massed thick as briar at the far end of the ploughed field. And there are more of them than us. Damn them. As for the horse of the royalist right wing, in which Munn waited like a man on his way to hang, it was said that there were upwards of 1,200. Yet Munn felt as vulnerable as though he were naked. His skin crawled at the thought of flying lead being drawn to him like wasps to jam. His guts churned at the vision of wicked, sharp pike blades gouging into his flesh. He knew, too, that the passage of so many horses would plough the field again, churn it to a killing quagmire. And yet, when the order came, he would ride at the enemy as though Satan were at his back. He pulled all 2.5 feet of carbine round from where it hung, suspended on his right side, and checked it was at the half-cock, the lead balls snug in the barrel, then made his eyes trace the swirling scrollwork in the polished beech stock. He tried to imagine the craftsman quietly, carefully etching by candlelight long before this bitter trouble had come to the land. He wondered after the man from whose dead hands he had prized the gun following the fight at Powick. But then a horse screamed nearby, yanking him back to the present. "At my word, we go like hell's hounds," Prince Rupert yelled, vigorously wheeling his mount round to face his men. He wore back and breastplate over a long buff coat. His scarlet sash and helmet plume matched the red and gold embroidered saddlecloth and the pistol holsters that lay in front of the fine leather boots that reached his thigh. His black mare tossed her head spiritedly, impatient to charge, but instead the prince had her perform the passage, lifting each diagonal pair of legs high off the ground and suspending them in a slow trot. "Damn beast looks like it's dancing, not going into a fight," O'Brien growled on Munn's right, leaning over in the saddle and spitting. "I'll wager the prince's horse can fence like a bloody French gentleman, too." Munn knew his father, a master of training and riding horses, a student of manège, would appreciate the horsemanship, and he twisted in the saddle, looking for him amongst the 300 men of the king's lifeguard, whom the prince had placed in the second line. But he could not see him and turned back. A horse will do that for a prince.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?